Good afternoon. Clap once if you can hear me. Clap twice if you can hear me. Clap once if you can hear me. Clap twice if you can hear me. Thank you so much for coming back in this afternoon. My name is Peter Burns and I am from one local association down under. It was 6:45 a.m. The city was stirring, coming to life, and it was cold. I remember it clearly. I wanted coffee. I needed coffee. I was downtown for a board meeting, and as in every Y, our stunning volunteers routinely make sacrifices for us. They have early morning meetings, and that morning, 6 of our board members had chosen to meet at 7 a.m. One of them joined me at the cafe beforehand. I stood in line when I went to order the coffee, and the barista asked for my order. I couldn't answer. I had no words. In line behind me, fellow coffee drinkers coughed and shuffled their feet. They wanted coffee too. Confused, I pointed to the menu and gestured to make myself understood. Puzzled, I frantically wondered what had happened to me. I motioned across the cafe to the board member to go back up to the meeting room. I quickly grabbed the coffee and followed. I made it through the meeting using nods and gestures, averting my gaze if someone looked puzzled or asked me a question. That day, I was denied the power of speech for 6 hours. A small clot caused by a tiny hole in my heart interrupted the flow of blood to my brain. I had suffered a stroke. I was devastated, shattered. It took me 3 months to learn to speak again. It was only after 12 weeks of intensive rehabilitation that I was able to return to work. It would take 12 months before I regained the confidence to speak in public again. The symptom I experienced that morning was, I later learned, called expressive dysphasia. Only one of the many symptoms I might have experienced having a stroke. With expressive dysphasia, I could understand everything, but I was unable to make myself understood. I couldn't express myself through speech. Through much of my lifetime in the YMCA, I have come to reflect that we had collectively suffered expressive dysphasia. We had struggled to express our unifying purpose globally. For many years, we spent an enormous amount of time trying to describe the reason that we exist. Our cause through a lens of what we do and how we do it locally. In Colorado at the 18th World Council of YMCAs, when the World YMCA unearthed youth empowerment as the YMCA's fundamental reason for existence, it immediately had a powerful and profound impact on our local YMCA, and subsequently our national Y as well. The fact is, our core belief in the power of inspired young people had been obscured from view. We had disempowered ourselves by being unable to express our reason for being. Empowering, inspiring young people, that's why we're here. And that's why I'm here today, to share how the alignment of strategy, globally, nationally and locally, has changed us for good and forever. This afternoon, I will share 5 aspects of change that I have learned and 3 lessons implementing change in a local YMCA. But first, who is in the room? Please stand up, won't you? Please join me, stand up. Would you take a moment to turn to the person behind you, ask their name? Now turn carefully. Oscar, I said the person behind you. Clap once if you can hear me. Clap twice if you can hear me. Clap once if you can hear me. Clap twice if you can hear me. Please remain standing. Who among you has been here to the World Council of YMCAs 5 times or more? Everybody else, give them a hand. Please sit down. Those that have, those with your hands up, please sit down. If you've been 5 times or more. Who has been to 4 World Councils? Give them a hand, everyone. And those that have been to 4 World Councils, please sit down. Who here has attended 3 World Council of YMCAs? Hong Kong, Estes Park, Chiang Mai. Hands up. Give them a small hand, folks. And please sit down if you've been 3. Now we're getting to the big buzz. Who's been to 2 World Councils of YMCA? Give them a huge cheer! Oh, sit down, you're yesterday's people. Now, who is here for the first ever time? Keep your hand up if you're under 30 years of age. Sit down if you're over 30 years of age. Now give the real cheer. Thank you very much. Most of these people are young. Most of these people are young. And our leaders for now and the future. First, let us look at 5 aspects of change that I believe that transformationally changed our YMCA. It can only happen if we all act with one clear purpose. We align our efforts, if we align our activities, and we create everyday leadership. Finally, we must each become agents of change. We all know that we are united by our commitment to youth empowerment, interpreted in my country as our belief in the power of inspired young people. Youth empowerment is the glue that binds us in all we do. It's our primary purpose. In addition to our belief, there are crucial concepts with which we must align our efforts in order to optimise our capacity for empowering young people. Firstly, the YMCA is a movement. We are a mass of Y people committed to sustaining action, not a transactional organisation governed by a global CEO and board. We are fundamentally grassroots. We seek to serve more people, more deeply, more often. As a movement, we possess the unstoppable power of being a global force for good. We exist to achieve an important purpose, the pursuit of youth empowerment. We seek sweeping change. We are moving toward a better place, and we have organised ourselves institutionally to act on our global purpose and amplify our local impact. Now, it's crucial to remind ourselves then that it is not the institution that is important. It is the movement. It is only as a movement that we can aspire to change the world, a theme we've had all day. The bottom line is that if every young person becomes empowered, we could say to ourselves, mission accomplished. As a movement, we could all pack up and go home. Secondly, it is only with both alignment and transparency that we enable each of the people with whom we work the satisfaction of self-management, a sense of wholeness, and a sense of evolutionary purpose. With alignment, we build openness, we build trust. Alignment builds momentum. Transparency is the bridge to trustworthiness. Both our capability and character underpin our authenticity, our trustworthiness, and they must be authentic. It is only when we are both capable and possess impeccable character that any of us can allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to genuinely trust the people around us. Our dispersed leadership movement model around the world, founded on transparency and mission alignment, is capable of exponential mission impact. It's our core strength, our unique proposition to the young people of the world. Some organisations work better with a captain, a pilot flying a plane, for example, or a surgeon doing delicate surgery. They require command and control. However, for a social movement like the Y, command and control does not work. Every YMCA leader deals with a diverse and complex society issues on the local level. We do. To harvest genuine social impact, each of us needs to be agile. We need to be responsive. We need to be innovative in both our local work and our contributions nationally, regionally, and globally. We aligned our strategy in YMCA Victoria not only with the world, but in order to provide clarity to our stakeholders locally and to share our experience of the World YMCA. We know that when we share freely and transparency between ourselves, we are catalysts to create innovative, adaptable solutions with the communities we serve. Just like the influenza vaccine that is altered annually to combat the latest strain of the influenza, our communities and communities' issues change frequently. To be at our productive best, each YMCA has to routinely adapt and choose the best path forward while keeping our eye on the ultimate prize, youth empowerment. Thirdly, I believe that it is crucial for the YMCA movement to align our activities to complement those of other agencies. At our YMCA, we align our work with the United Nations Social Determinants of Health framework because we know that healthy, active and connected communities and lifestyles underpin the empowerment of young people. We aim to positively address the social determinants of health by intentionally activating communities and designing programs and services that demonstrate what we believe. After all, actions speak louder than words. As we all know, our founder George Williams was a humble draper. He was very young when he started the YMCA movement, a movement founded on everyday leadership. My everyday leadership question is simple. How can I create and enable a YMCA to have more impact, more deeply, more often today? Folks, we woke the sleeping giant at the 17th Council of YMCAs in Hong Kong. At the 18th Council of YMCAs in Colorado, we found mountains to climb. Right now, we in the movement have genuinely identified our common reason for being, our why in 2018, youth empowerment. From here in Chiang Mai, I believe our question is, now, how? How can we bring about a spiritual awakening of all of us? How can we open ourselves up to be vulnerable about the things of which we are certain? How can we deconstruct what has gone before and imagine what is yet to be? As Albert Einstein said, the measure of intelligence is the ability to change. Who among you is intelligent? How will we change in order to make our contributions to achieving the global purpose of the YMCA? Others are building movements too. Today, it's easier than ever to build a movement. How are we to respond?
To the families and friends of the victims, know that we'll do everything we can. We are Vegas strong.
No matter what we're going through, we still have to push forward.
Are you ready to shake up the world?
It takes an act of love to realize we are all in this together.
We made history tonight.
Look at that!
It's emotional. I can't explain why, but it is.
I'm asking that you guys join and mobilize with me.
I will say it right now out loud. Me too.
Me too.
Me too.
Me too.
Love you, right?
Get your head back on, bro. You gonna shake it, bro. The things that make us different, those are our superpowers. Go out there and conquer the world. Because the world would not be as beautiful as it is if we weren't in it.
Theodore Roosevelt was a wise man. Here I have adapted a quote from his famous 1910 Citizenship in a Republic speech for 2018. It is not the critic who counts, not the person who points out how strong person stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the person who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends themselves in a worthy cause, who at the end best knows the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if they fail, at least fail while daring greatly. So I ask myself, can I dare greatly? I ask you, are you brave enough to dare greatly? To reimagine our great movement, to see past the institution and gaze deeply into the eyes of each young person with whom we relate. How can each of us be the best person we can to be a catalyst for deepening our movement impact? This is the question to ask. Can you imagine if we abandoned talk of empowerment? But we've just identified youth empowerment, I hear you say. That's our common cause. I hear you, but stick with me for a minute. What if we abandoned the word empowerment, that absurdly conventional masculine concept of power, as a form of control? We do not need to empower or hand over power. The young people of the world must know that we, the powerful, have the capacity to provide the space to break free of old controlling notions of power. We need to replace them with more creative forces wrought from the minds and hearts of young people. The power of compassion, for example, or love, cooperation and kindness, and forgiveness. One way I can reimagine my contribution over the coming years is to look at things through a new perspective, to shift my perspective, to look at everything we do through a youth empowerment lens. Now tell me, when was the last time you looked at things through the eyes of a 6-year-old child? Will you join me? Please stand. I learnt this from a young 6-year-old child in Japan a little while ago. As long as you have good shoulders, if you have a sore back, please don't try this. She looked at me, we couldn't talk, but we communicated deeply. She did something like this. Can you try that? Now, who feels good that they can do it? Who feels poorly that they cannot do it? The people who can do it, can you help the people who can't? Let's try one more time. I'll do it very slowly. Smile. Here we go. Fingers up. Keep them crossed. The ha is very important. Well, thank you for trying anyway. Thank you. With laughter and silliness, we see things differently. Did you notice something about the person next to you that you had not before seen? Did you remind him to use a handkerchief? Okay, in my childhood years, I enjoyed the benefits of being a YMCA member. Camping, judo, leadership training, and volunteering all contributed to my personal growth. They were unique learning experiences provided and offered to me through the YMCA. Later, our incredible movement instilled in me the importance of servant leadership and working with young people. It shaped me to work with the fundamental belief that people can do, will do, and want to do their best. As a young person, I became dedicated to the idea of bringing out the best in people. I was fearless, the equal of anyone. I did not know the meaning of impossible. I had to learn to be vulnerable. I felt empowered. The YMCA also enabled me, yes, that's me, to travel to many places to develop a global mindset. I emerged from those early travels with a determination to think locally and act globally. Yes, think locally and act globally, because I became determined to learn from the best YMCAs from around the world. I wanted to contribute to the melting pot of ideas that stimulate us and challenge us as YMCA leaders. When people look at YMCA Victoria today, they see a large, diverse member of the global movement. Now, it wasn't always so. In fact, after the halcyon days of the 1950s and 60s, we went into sharp and arduous decline. Irrelevant and out of step with the young people of the time, our YMCA was bankrupt by 1978. As a young man, I witnessed the distressing decline of our YMCA. What I have learned about implementing change, I have learned along the journey from recovering to thriving. I have learned that enduring change occurs for one of two principal reasons: crisis or compelling vision. The change wrought by crisis is diminishing. It's claustrophobic. It's self-limiting. It's exceedingly hard to break free from. Depressing. Change inspired by a broad and compelling vision is energising. It's empowering. It's full of love and hope and possibility. We in YMCA Victoria have been determined ever since those dark days in the late 1970s to pursue our dreams, to be the best that we can. We owe it to the people we serve to be so much better than relevant, to be so much more than sustainable. People need the YMCA now more than ever. Young people need the YMCA now more than ever. It's our calling to serve the young people of the world by creating spaces for them to be safe, respected, innovative, creative, healthy, and most of all, full of hope. Along the way, we've discovered that no matter how much planning we do, the journey toward our future is not predictable. While our plans need to change continually, our cause remains at the centre of everything we do. As Dwight D. Eisenhower once said, "I have always found that plans are useless." I don't do American accents, by the way. But planning is indispensable. Of all the things we need to take into account as YMCA leaders, of one thing we can be sure. Today, more than ever, we need to be the agents of change, the catalyst leaders dedicated to inspiring young people the world over. A little while ago, I asked a 27-year-old staff member, Eloise, to speak to our executive staff team. We asked her, "What would you have us do to empower young people?" Referring to the issues and the hot topics of the time, she said, and they were youth employment, mental health, equality of opportunity, she said, "Be bold, be on the right side of history." Her daring reflection enthused me. It reminded me that I remain a passionate advocate, an activist, and a leader to inspire young people. I'm here to change the world for good. You are here to change the world for good. As we continue to strengthen and embrace the uniqueness of our movement, we can empower young people one person at a time at the beginning, then exponentially. Eloise is a catalytic leader. She knows that values are stronger than, they're a stronger binding force than authority. She knows that YMCA values are a stronger binding force than authority. She knows that it takes only a spark of inspiration to ignite the wildfire of social change. Witness our Global Change Agent program. The why is better and greater because of our global change agents and the millions of other young volunteers with which we engage. On all the continents of the world, we remind ourselves that we work to empower young people and to transform our communities. This model, the Space Transformation Impact Model, is in our DNA, and our model is a shining example of the elegance of our youth empowerment efforts. In fact, our local YMCA, we have taken this step a little further, and we talk about inspiring young people, but it's through the Space Transformation Impact Model that we resonate. Our people understand it's our job to make the space available in which young people can act, decide, and fulfill their potential. Our people understand that transformation enables young people to develop and ultimately change their lives. Our people understand that ultimately we strive to have an inspiring impact on the lives of the young people with whom we engage. For us, strong communities full of people with a global mindset and a strong sense of social responsibility are communities in which all people, especially young people, thrive. It's all about community. We believe in the power of inspired young people. And we matter because when young people are inspired, they are powerful. Before I move on to the 3 lessons, having talked about the 5 activities, can you please stand up again? Thank you. Now, this is a simple instruction. Can you hold your hands waist width apart, like so? And some of us have wider waists, like me, than others. You didn't have to comment, Peter. Thank you. Okay, now this is a simple task. Can you clap and put your hands back to your waist? The only time you clap is when my arms cross. The only time you clap is when my arms cross. Nearly. Now make it a loud clap and make sure if my arms don't cross, you don't clap. You ready? No! Try it again. It's simple. Okay, are you ready? Hold your waist, not like this, Oscar. Come on, this way. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, you knew it was coming. One more time. Let's go. Joe. That was just in case you walk out before the end. You gave me some applause. Thank you. You have to get it where you can. Thank you, everyone. I hope you had fun. In addition to the 3 lessons I've learned, I offer you a 4th. Always have fun. Next, having shared the 5 aspects of change, let me turn to those 3 lessons. They are simple, yet they are difficult. When aligning our work globally and locally, we have been sure to have invested heavily in our young people. To do so, we strive to build in our young people and all our staff self-managed leaders, those with a sense of control over their own destiny. We encourage our people to work hard to thrive and bring their whole self to work. And we strive very, very hard to encourage our people to not use words like boss or professional. We're also clear on evolutionary purpose. It is at once static and evolutionary. We believe in the power of inspired young people, and it's vital that our people be invited to listen to and understand what that means to young people at any particular point in time and in a variety of contexts. Change can be overwhelming. Self-management is crucial if we are to embrace change and remain relevant and continually improve. It's essential to take one step at a time, just as it is crucial to be true to ourselves. We try to celebrate the little wins, and we enlist people to help us and build a trustworthy relationship with each and every person for the right reasons at the right time. We know that St. Francis of Assisi was right when he said, "Start by doing what's necessary, then do what's possible, and suddenly you are doing the impossible." We have learned that it is crucial to take as long as we need to get things right. People want open, clear, and consistent communication, transparent honesty, and most of all, they need time. These things build ownership for the change solution. If we rush things and take too little time, people will reject the change. If we take too long, people will experience change fatigue. They will lose energy and walk away. In the business world, accurate information, particularly financial data, is central to almost every decision made. And whilst the community is not an economy, accurate financials and in-depth analysis are required to make informed, prudent investment decisions. It's also vital that we know our fiscal worth. We need to be able to understand that we have financial worth to those with whom we partner. Getting the finance right has been foundational in building the scale of our YMCA. We are driven by the power of inspired young people. That's our belief. And in everything we do, we work hard to make every dollar count because of that. Innovation and creativity only comes about from challenging and breaking old paradigms. Lateral thinking, the collision of two or more disparate ideas, inevitably catalyses a new perspective, innovation or insight. Remarkably, these can look breathtaking elegant in the retrospect. And it's only in hindsight that we can join the dots to make sense of things. The reminders we've had have been beautiful. The second lesson I've learned is that wholeness is imperative to a thriving culture. It is our work as YMCA leaders to encourage people to bring their whole selves to work and volunteering in spirit, mind, and body. Our philosophy is to maintain balance. Everything we do focuses on our belief, and we balance our mission impact and financial requirements very carefully in order to thrive. one of the most significant things I've taken over the years is to prepare for what success looks like ahead of time. Deciding in the heat of moment is a problem if we have not predetermined how success looks. Errors of judgment arise from differing opinions unsubstantiated by facts. We have a carefully documented criteria to consider alternatives. We ask ourselves, firstly, should we do it? Secondly, could we do it? And thirdly, is this the highest and best use of our resources at this time? These are the questions that help us start, stop, or continue activities, programs, and projects. Author Patty McLeod says, and I'll quote, "Keep reminding yourself that people have power. It's not your job to give it to them. Appreciate their power, unleash it from hidebound policies, approvals and procedures, and trust me, they will be powerful." We invest in our people. Our movement is only people united in our cause. It's our moral obligation to engage the very best of people and to replenish our talent pool so that we stay ahead of the curve. We have high expectations of our people. We expect them to live and breathe YMCA values. Partnering, too, is like a string of pearls. String the pearls together, and the more pearls there are, the more value that is added. At our YMCA, we have learned to partner to optimise our impact. We partner as equals. We value our uniqueness financially. We partner with those that believe in what we believe. Most of all, we partner with those that have impeccable reputations. Our reputation is our most precious asset. We cannot let our reputation become tarnished. The third lesson I share today is to embed evolutionary purpose in everything that we do. Growing and developing is a powerful motivator for every human. We are at once universal and continuously learning. Interpreting the thread of gold from George Williams to today is what motivates our people. If we are current and easily understood, then that's central to our success of the YMCA. As I said, we've had to teach ourselves that we're valuable. We're equal partners. I was talking about shared value earlier today with Patricia. If we find the right partners, we are invaluable to them. We can solve social issues because we are on the ground, and commercial money can help us do that. At the same time, we are part of a magnificent global movement as YMCA Victoria, and our local YMCA, operating as a social enterprise, makes valuable contributions to solving our many societal issues and amplifying their impact. We've experimented a lot with youth empowerment, and we haven't got it right yet. What we have learned is that youth empowerment or empowerment is not delegation. We've learned that isolating young people is not empowerment. We've learned that abdication of responsibility is not empowerment. What we do know is young people thrive in communities that are intergenerational, diverse, and most of all, optimistic. These communities inspire young people, they give them hope, and these communities are inspired by them. Before I finish, I was asked to address those things that I would have done differently in our change process. I'll also throw out some challenges for the future. The list of those things that I would have done differently is enormous. But here are 4 things that stand out that I would do differently in the future. The Italian proverb says, "He who fails to plan, plans to fail." In the future, I would take much more emphasis on design thinking to create a more effective change ecosystem. Author David Trickey says, "Trust is my choice to believe others will act positively in my interest, even when I know that they can also hurt me. It's about choosing to be vulnerable with others." Trust and transparency go hand in hand. They are integral to working successfully in a movement like ours. In the future, I would take even more care to embed humility, integrity, inclusion, competence, and safety in all that we do. In my experience, external experts engaged at the right time have had a profound impact on our nationalist movement. One of the most frustrating things we've had to deal with is good-hearted amateurs determined to add value despite their naivety. The fact is, we must embrace expert knowledge and make sure it fits our culture, make sure it fits our context. If we work closely with the best advisors, we can catapult our work forward in a way that we had not previously imagined. In the future, I would access the wisdom of experts carefully and ensure that we do not renege on our leadership responsibility to drive change, and embrace their advice so that we can continue to serve more people, more deeply, more often. YMCA people thrive on interpersonal contact. However, one of the most useful ways that we can be transparent is to bring people along the way with us using technology. In the future, I would use technology relentlessly. I would communicate and share information relentlessly. I would also use person-to-person meetings judiciously. It makes sense to include more people for the sake of our movement, and travel less for the sake of the environment. We live with 7 million souls on this small, warming planet. The cosmopolitan impulse that draws on our common humanity is no longer a necessity. It's a luxury. It has become a necessity. Those of us who value tolerance, freedom, and rational inquiry are faced with the huge leadership challenges, and I think we are just beginning to understand what our catalytic YMCA leaders are to face. As YMCA leaders, it is inescapable. We must become paradigm shifters, explorers of opportunities and implications of exponential technologies. We must align more closely with the global forces that are shaping the future and generating the solutions to the world's most urgent problems. Here are 3 to ponder. Institutional trust is broken. In democracies, we're starting to realise that institutional trust is not designed for the digital age. Conventions of how trust is built, managed and lost and repaired in brands, leaders and entire systems are being turned upside down. People are losing faith and confidence in institutions. Think about it. Brexit, Cambridge Analytica, President Trump, the Volkswagen's emissions scandal, childhood sexual abuse. The adversarial politics of the past has had its day. As the traditional institutional parties have converged on policy matters, it's not easy to predict which party will pursue a particular policy. Opposition to an idea has become more important than idealism. Lack of compassion is shaping social policy around the world. With the retreat of idealism and political campaigning reduced to brand management through social media and self-promotion, public tolerance for politicians has eroded. The rise of populism is frightful. We no longer elect leaders for their ideas, we elect them for their popularity, campaigning skills, or worse still, fear-mongering. If we in this room are genuine about empowering young people, we need to accept the career YMCA people cannot represent them. We need to create space to deconstruct our YMCA institutions and co-create an alternate movement paradigm. Consider this. What if the young people were to lead the YMCA movement from today? What if we replaced the current 19th century hierarchy with a 21st century deliberative democracy process, scaffolded by the wisdom and experience of older and wiser heads in this room? Would we better amplify our mission impact? Would we further empower young people? Let love be genuine. Hate what is evil. Hold fast to what is good. If your enemy is hungry, feed them. If they are thirsty, give them something to drink, said Paul in his letter to the Romans. Institutional religion is in decline and has never been held in lower esteem in my country than right now. Christians are not attending traditional churches in the numbers they used to. Instead, they have alternatives. One challenge ahead of us to YMCA people is to consider, how can we reorganise ourselves to take the place of those institutions in whom trust has been lost? To do this, our leadership challenge is to be trustworthy. And as I mentioned before, to be trustworthy, we must be both capable and have the highest character. The behaviour we walk past sets the standard we approve, and it's imperative that we ensure that our governors, staff and volunteers behave impeccably at all times. I've witnessed the unchristian decline of YMCAs around the world at the hands of institutional politics, infighting, aggression, deceit, personal favours, and even theft. Each of us in this room has the responsibility to call out bad behaviour, to not walk past it. For the sake of the young people of the world, we cannot countenance such shameful behaviours from the past. Certainly not shameful behaviours in the name of the YMCA from anyone, ever again. We talk about youth empowerment being in our DNA in the YMCA. What better way to illustrate the exponential pace of change than the marked decrease in the cost of a genome since 2001? What used to cost $100 million per genome now costs a few $100s. Of course, it's similar with computing power. The computing power of an old iPad 2 would have cost more than $100 million in 1950. Technologies are converging, everything is connected. The fact is, we cannot use the past to predict the future. We all have to transform exponentially and simultaneously along with everyone else in the world. To cope with the exponential change, our YMCA Leadership Challenge is to open our hearts and embrace the future for good, to harness technology for a better world. There's much for people to worry about in the world. Millions of people feel overwhelmed, distressed, disheartened about the future. The rules that worked before no longer work. The 21st century is full of uncertainty. Washington University tells us that 40% of Fortune 500 companies in the US will be extinct in the next 10 years. A Gallup poll last year found that only 15% of workers worldwide are engaged in their work. We can't even trust our eyes, as we've just seen. However, we, the YMCA, have the capacity to create space for young people around the globe to understand that the world is full of possibility. Our YMCA Leadership Challenge is to embrace the psychology of possibility, to aspire to what might be rather than describe what is, to inspire our people to understand what it is to be a powerful movement, to believe in the capacity to ignite the hearts and minds of young people. Everywhere and through massive transformative youth empowerment. Together we can do it, and together we will do it. Today I've shared 5 aspects of successful change in a local YMCA and 3 lessons I learned to underpin success. We've travelled a great distance together over the past few years, our World YMCA leaders providing the enabling space for those nominally in the lower hierarchy of the institution to enjoy a direct line of sight to the glorious movement that is the global YMCA. We've been welcomed with open arms in Geneva, if not literally, then figuratively. The communities that our local YMCA serves have benefited enormously from our exposure and alignment with YMCAs from all over the world. We have learned the importance of mission effort and alignment of activity. We've seen everyday leaders become superstars. We've embraced the challenge to become agents of change, and we've learned how crucial it is for our people to feel part of this vast global movement, to embrace the global mindset, to be welcoming, open and committed to changing our world for good. We have learned that it is our leadership challenge to dream large together. We are a movement, not an institution. We're a movement for social change. We are a movement, unstoppable. And so, friends, and now our leadership challenge is to take our blank canvas of youth empowerment and put some shape around it as we have in the last period of time, so that we all understand what we're doing and where we're going. But most importantly, it's important that we see it through to the full colour of what youth empowerment can be. Thank you.